Musk also amplified a post this week from conspiracy theorist Alex Jones. Yes, that guy. He's still around.
In England, the word sarcastic is often, through slang, reduced to this. Psaki. Don't be so sarky. Stop being sarcastic. Jen Psaki, though, here manages to blame Trump, Elon Musk and Republicans for the California wildfires. How does she do it? How? Let's have a look.
And with these fires still burning, we are facing important questions about how to mitigate and prevent disasters like this in the future. Fact is, leaders will need to confront a very complicated and challenging reality moving forward. But right now, that is not exactly what is happening. Instead, Donald Trump and his allies are injecting half-truths, misinformation, and flat-out lies in some cases in order to score a version of political points, I suppose.
That is not a unilateral issue. That's a bilateral issue. They probably are doing that, but that's how politics and communication works these days. But Jen Psaki is not observing or owning the fact that she's doing what she's criticising and condemning literally while criticising and condemning it. She's literally trying to point score and have her own perspective and inject misinformation. I mean, like right then, in real and live time. And if I'm doing it now, I'm aware of it and I'm apologising for it, and therefore we avoid infinite regress.
We saw something similar play out just this past October in the aftermath of Hurricanes Helene and Milton, when Trump repeatedly lied about FEMA spending disaster relief funds on migrants, which didn't happen. Also baselessly claiming that the Biden administration was absent and incompetent in delivering aid, despite what elected officials of both parties on the ground said. Those lies were then spread and amplified by the richest man in the world on the social media site that he owns. So I guess none of us should have been shocked this week when Elon Musk posted that the Los Angeles Fire Department prioritized DEI over saving lives and homes. That's an exact quote. That appeared to be a disgusting dig at the city's fire chief, Kristen Crowley, who has served in the department for decades, rising through the ranks to become the first female and LGBTQ fire chief in LA's history.
I actually, by the way, I just want to say this because I know that a lot of you are preaching to the converted here. I do think it's good that there's a female fire chief, and I think it's good that there's a lesbian fire chief, but it oughtn't be her lesbianness or femaleness that is on the line when running a fire department. That should just be managerial and operational skills. The ideology around lesbianism and feminism should not intersect with the management of fires. That should be down to the individual. Now, there's no doubt that when you're cultivating a culture and a society, there are cultural trends, movements and inculcationary systems that would mean it's perhaps more likely that a male might find themselves in that role. There might be. But there also could be other reasons, like biological and biochemical, I don't know. But I just want to say this so that you know that I don't think it's fundamentally not right that a woman or a gay woman should be running a fire service. I think that the best person to run a fire service should run a fire service. Like, I know a load of firefighters in the UK. My mate Lee Pickett, who I went to school with, he became a fireman, got involved in the activism of it, says people don't understand the trauma of going into burning buildings and the stuff that you see and the way that it feels. Who here don't love first responders? That's why we're one of these bands here is for the first responders of Miami, the thin blue line of the police force surrounded by the red blood of fallen police officers, and then the name of our Lord and Saviour there just on the inside. First responders, incredible, brilliant people, as long as what they are enacting is in alignment with the communities that they serve and it hasn't been co-opted and captured by various other ideological systems, then that's when you start getting a problem, isn't it? And those problems could be from the left or they could be from the right. Remember the Iraq War? Who was that? Bush, Cheney, Wolfowitz, Rumsfeld. In short, the Republican conservative right. The current wars, who's benefited from that? Biden, like, because there's so many of them Bidens slipping around inside Burisma. You know, like, it's not a political issue. Political issue is sort of a wafer-thin veneer. No, deeper, thicker, or more significant than the scales that Paul peels as he peels away and is relieved of Saul. Don't get fascinated by the scale that you're peeling off. Superficial reality is not that important. Awaken. Awaken to the Lord.
Musk also amplified a post this week from conspiracy theorist Alex Jones.
Yeah, Alex Jones. Look, if you're not impressed by how much weight he's lost, then you're not paying attention.
Yes, that guy. He's still around.
Still around? He looks gorgeous.
Alex Jones wrote that Los Angeles fires are part of a larger globalist plot to wage economic warfare and deindustrialize the United States before triggering total collapse.
But Jen Psaki's saying that the LA fires are part of a bigger conspiratorial plot. It's just that she's just got a different aesthetic. That's all. She's not saying something that's fundamentally different from Alex Jones. She's saying something that's superficially different from Alex Jones. She won't be able to get through this whole piece without saying that there is a political and or ideological component to those fires. I betcha. My guess will be that it's to do with like climate change, and that climate change is in particular and specifically caused by human beings, and that therefore the interests of individuals and the freedoms of individuals has to be controlled. She won't like reach the conclusion that therefore these various systems have to be regulated, cuckolded and castrated. She'll say no. That's why we have to, lock people in their homes, or ordinary people will have to not be able to take flights. She won't directly say that, of course. I'm just suggesting that she will tacitly support policies that would necessarily lead to that.
I mean, not sure that guy's okay.
I see in the chat, Elizabeth Sarah, you're talking about Megyn Kelly's attack on Crowley. And I think that's, I get your point, and Megyn Kelly's much better equipped to carry that, and she, but that's not the argument that I'd want to have. Megyn Kelly, I know, just gets into, I don't care who you have sex with, and I think that's true. Who does? I did actually make that point. I did say, didn't I, that the lesbianness and the femaleness are redundant and irrelevant when it comes to that aspect of her life. Like at this moment now, it doesn't matter if I like Greek yogurt, does it? It's like, does this guy like Greek yogurt or not? Tell me now! What are your views on Greek yogurt while you're talking about politics? I like Greek yogurt. Good, then I can trust you. I dislike Greek yogurt. Well, then shut your goddamn mouth and find me someone that likes Greek yogurt. Find me someone who likes Greek yogurt to run a fire department. I only want the fire department run by people that like Greek yogurt. I don't think it's relevant. It is! The war against free speech is in full swing. We are the vanguard, bravely fighting back. Rumble's the home of this channel, Stay Free, and a leader in defending the fundamental human right of free speech. They've joined X to sue a cartel of advertisers and ad agencies who conspired to block ad revenue from going to the platforms. Recently, they've launched Rumble Premium. This, I think, is going to be a game changer for all of us. It's an ad-free viewing experience with great perks for viewers and creators. Rumble Premium will give you the ability to dive into your favorite content on your mobile or desktop or smart TV and savor every uninterrupted second of my content. Why don't you upgrade to Rumble Premium today? Support my free speech and the free speech of other content creators on this platform. Please go to Rumble now, rumble.com/premium. And if you use the code BRAND, you'll save $10 and Rumble will be aware that our stream is creating great converts. So that's rumble.com/premium, and do use the code BRAND to save $10. Anyway, there's a link there at the bottom of the screen now. We're posting it in the chat. Join up.
Musk responded to that post by writing, true. Yes, just to repeat here. That's just the richest man in the world and the best friend of the incoming president confirming to his 200 million followers that he thinks the devastating wildfires are a part of a globalist plot. And so now we're back in this vicious cycle where Trump and his new bestie push lies about a natural disaster, and then right-wing media runs with them.
Natural disaster, okay? That is a category. Natural disaster, force majeure, act of God, all synonyms, right? Natural disaster, that's the favoured idiom or maxim from Psaki there. Force majeure in French, act of God, more archaic, describe the same thing. That there's no intervention, it's just one of those things that happened. It's just one of those things that happened. I mean, if the whole thing's a natural disaster, don't have a government. If the whole thing's don't have one at all. Just why don't we all of us just organise at the smallest possible level? The smallest possible level. Right, okay, right, we're in charge of this little bit of land. We might have collegiate relationships with the people on that bit of land and that bit of land and pool our resources, but the principle will be minimal amount of centralised power because, everything's just most things are just natural disasters.
I'll say it out loud. They have no intention of putting out these fires.
All these people are focused on pronouns and fish you can't eat and, scrubbing white people from the fire department.
DEI, as Elon Musk said, can actually mean DIE.
Well, that's good.
In the events like this, you sort of look, Is it on purpose? I can make all kinds of horrible theories up in my head, conspiracy theories and everything else, but it just seemed a little convenient that there was no water, and and that the wind conditions were right, and that there are people ready and willing and able to start fires.
You know what people are saying in the chat? They're saying it's burning the evidence for the Diddy case. That's what people are saying, isn't it? They're saying, like, it's just, But that's a little bit cruel when I think of all those little coyotes and birds and human beings and insects in no particular order that will have suffered.
And are they commissioned to do so, or are they just acting on their own volition? I don't know.
That's a conspiracy theorist playing it all out on TV and nobody questioning him.
There's nothing that can't be politicized, perhaps because politics is by its nature a perspective that you adopt. So anything, you can adopt that perspective for anything. But also by virtue of that fact, it is non-essential and therefore potentially not truthful. You could decide to look at a fire this way or that way. You could decide to look at Greek yogurt this way or that way, or lesbianism this way or that way. Things simply are how they are in the mind of God. And it's very difficult for us, as you might say, if you were someone who derived their purview entirely from a sort of evolutionary biological perspective. It's hard for an ape to understand God, but if you yield to the Lord, you will recognize there are limitations to our power. And while science might be magnificent at observing how things materially happened, it can never tell us why they happened or what we're doing here or who did it. And when we ponder those things, or more importantly, when we read how those things happened, you will discover such great truths that will help you in all of your relationships, including your relationship with yourself. Although I'm going to put self in air quotes, even though I hate doing that, because you might even be able to replace that and become more you than you've ever been before. But that's just what I think. Why don't you let me know what you think in the comments and the chat?
Hey, thanks for watching. If you want to see more uncensored content where free speech can flourish, join our live stream. Click the link right here to watch the next video if you want to, or become a member of a growing movement. Download the Rumble app and you'll be informed every time we make a new piece of content. Stay free.